Hello. Today, I am going to introduce to you a new kind of word. That's right. This is your introduction to prepositions. Now, you already know 4 kinds of words. You know nouns, which we use a little square to identify in our sentences. Why? Because there are 4 kinds of nouns. There are people, places, things, and ideas. And nouns are important kinds of words because they are all of the things that we can talk about. The only thing you can talk about is a noun, or verbs acting like nouns, or other things acting like nouns. But they have to be people, places, things, or ideas in order to talk about them. The other kind of word that you already know is a verb. You know that every sentence in English needs at least one verb. You know that verbs are represented by circles. Why? Because verbs help us tell the time. They're like little clocks in sentences. And in fact, verb tenses are just another way of talking about time shown by verbs in sentences. You know that verbs are probably the most important words in English because every sentence needs at least one verb. You can have some sentences without nouns, but you can't have any sentences without verbs. Really important. You know that adjectives are kinds of words, and their job is to describe nouns. Only nouns. Nothing but nouns! Which, of course, you know I'm getting angry for no reason. And adjectives help describe or modify, right? They're always getting our idea of a person, place, thing, or idea a little clearer, right? They're going from the general to the specific, and that's why we use triangles to identify adjectives. And then you know the last kind of word is an adverb. And adverbs modify verbs, adjectives, or other adverbs, but never nouns. Man, I don't know why I get so angry all the time. I'm sorry, it's just so many students go and modify things that shouldn't be modified, the things that they shouldn't. But you know this. You know all this. And today, we're introducing the last symbol that we're going to be introducing to you, at least as of right now, and that's this one, the plus sign. And the plus sign is used to identify prepositions in sentences. Why a plus sign, you ask? That's an excellent question, because prepositions are little words that you cannot have alone. Prepositions are never alone. Never alone! Prepositions are always connected to other words because their job is relationship. And you can't have relationship without something else, or someone else, or some idea else. You need more than one. So, usually you will find prepositions connected to nouns. Preposition, noun. And this is called a prepositional phrase. When you have a preposition and an object of that preposition, you have at least 2 words, but sometimes there's adjectives in between the preposition and noun. But when you have these words together, it's called a prepositional phrase. It starts with a preposition, and then it has more words after it, and one of those words has to be the noun, the object of the preposition. That is probably the most common form in which you will find prepositions. In prepositional phrases, prepositions, and then nouns. Later on, you will see and identify these phrasal verbs, okay? So you will have a verb and then a preposition. So this is one you have to really be careful of. What sets phrasal verbs apart, what makes them different, is that the verb by itself will mean one thing, And when you add the preposition, it will mean something else. It will change the meaning of the verb. And that's what makes it a phrasal verb. We're not going to deal too much with phrasal verbs yet, but it's good for you to know that they're out there, and maybe you'll be able to identify some on a quiz. Maybe. Today, we're going to focus more on the prepositional phrases. So let's look. Remember that prepositions are just words used to express relationships. And there's three general groups of relationships we're going to look at today. The first is relationships of time. So these will answer the question, when? When did something happen? Well, it happened before the end, I guess. I mean, we'll look at examples later, but let's just look at the words for now. So prepositions of time will answer the question when, and they will be words like before, after, or the big three. In, on, at. These are probably three of the most commonly used prepositions in English. And we're going to learn more about them in a future video, but for now, these are some prepositions of time. And then we have some prepositions, words used to express the relationship of place or direction. And obviously, these would answer the question, where? And you could answer that question by talking about, well, beside, or across, or to, or from. And you could use the big three, in, on, at. That's right, these are not only prepositions of time, they are also prepositions of place. You'll learn more about it in a couple lessons. Lastly, we have words used to express other relationships. These are sometimes relationships of manner or, well, there's a reason we use this. They're not as easy to specify as time and place, but usually these will answer the question, how? And these are words like with, going to the movie with a friend, that's how I'm going to the movie, or by. This video was produced by IQ Academy. Or of. Again, we'll look at some examples, well, now. So we're just going to look at one example for each of these relational types, okay? So let's look at the first sentence. There will be a review after these examples. So here we have some information. There will be a review, which you know, because at the end of this I'm going to say, now let's review. And then, you know, all the questions and the answers, and you're familiar with these, but after these examples. So this tells us when the review will take place. After, preposition, these, talking about which examples, these examples, so this is the adjective, and here is our noun, okay? So here we have a prepositional phrase after these examples. Place and direction, or where. So, is there a monster beside you? There's not one beside me. I'm here like all, you know, there's no monsters. But you could look beside or the other side, and there's still no monsters. But just know that beside could be either side, but this is our preposition, right? Beside, and you is the pronoun connected to this preposition. So this is important, look, because it's noun, preposition, noun. But this is the prepositional phrase, okay? Because remember, it has to be preposition and then the noun in order for it to be connected like that. So you could say, is there a monster? And that would be a complete thought. It would be a question that would make sense. But this is giving more information, connecting that question with place and object of the preposition, you. Let's look at our third example. An example of how, okay? Or relationship. So, which of our lessons is your favorite? Well, that's a good question. Which of our many lessons is your favorite? You have a whole bunch of lessons somewhere below in our YouTube channel. You can click on a bunch and you can tell us, well, not on comments at the moment, but you can tell us in person which of our lessons is your favorite. And here, it's important to remember that while in most situations, the verb is the most important word to find in a sentence, it is not going to have a lot of bearing. It's not going to help that much when we're looking for prepositions or prepositional phrases, because verbs rarely have anything to do with prepositions. Here, the preposition of is talking about our lessons, right? So which, and then we're asking which of our lessons. We don't want to know which dessert or which teacher is your favorite. We want to know which of our lessons is your favorite, okay? So that would be an example of that kind of relationship. We're trying to connect this idea to something very specific. I know it's been a lot of information because it's a new kind of word, but let's review.
Intro to Prepositions. Why do we use the plus sign to identify prepositions? Prepositions are words that are never alone. They are words used to express relationships. What do we call prepositions used with nouns? They are called prepositional phrases. They start with a preposition and end with a noun. What are nouns at the end of prepositional phrases called? They are called the object of preposition. What do we call prepositions used with verbs? They are called phrasal verbs. They start with a verb and end with a preposition. The preposition changes the meaning of the verb. What do prepositions of time do? They answer the question, when. What are some common prepositions of time? Before, after, in, on, at. What do prepositions of place, direction do? They answer the question, where. What are some common prepositions of place, direction? Beside, across, to, from, in, on, at. What do other relationship prepositions do? They usually answer the question, how. What are some common prepositions to show how? With, by, of.